Welcome back to the British Accent Podcast. I'm Emily.
And I'm Nick. Today, we're diving into a topic that can completely change the way you think about learning English, especially if you often feel like you don't have enough time.
Exactly. We're talking about something really practical. How to turn boring chores into English practice time. Because let's be honest, no one loves doing the laundry or washing dishes, but those moments might be the key to building your fluency without even opening a textbook.
Right. Think about all the small tasks you do each day: cleaning the kitchen, sweeping the floor, folding clothes, or even organizing your desk. Those moments might feel like wasted time, but they are actually golden opportunities for low-pressure language input.
And the best part is, you don't need to add anything to your schedule. You're already doing these chores. We're just going to help you fill those moments with English in a way that feels effortless and even enjoyable.
So if you've ever thought, I don't have time to study, this episode is for you. Because you might not need more time, you might just need a new way of looking at the time you already have.
Let's get into it.
Let's start with the easiest and most obvious method: listening. Podcasts, audiobooks, YouTube videos, anything in English. When you're doing something repetitive like washing dishes or sweeping the floor, your hands are busy but your mind is free. That's the perfect moment to absorb spoken English.
Exactly. And because those chores usually don't require much brain power, it's a great time for passive learning. You might not catch every single word, but your brain is still picking up rhythm, pronunciation, intonation, and over time, that builds your listening comprehension naturally.
Here's something I personally love to do: I'll put on a podcast or a language learning playlist, and set a goal like, I'll clean the kitchen until this episode ends. It makes the chore feel more like a learning session, and it actually goes by faster.
Yes. That trick is so helpful. And here's another idea. Try talking to yourself in English while you're cleaning. Describe what you're doing out loud. Like, I'm putting the plates in the cupboard, or this counter is so dusty. It sounds silly, but it's an amazing way to build vocabulary related to everyday life.
That's such a good point, Emily. We often forget that vocabulary about daily life is some of the most useful English. And when you connect those words to actual actions, they stick better in your memory.
And if you're worried about making mistakes, don't be. No one's listening. This is your private space to experiment, to repeat, to play with the language. You don't have to sound perfect. You just have to engage with the words.
Let's talk about routines. If you clean your house every Saturday morning, that can become your English hour. Or maybe you fold laundry every night, let that be your vocabulary review time. When you link English to routines, it becomes automatic, like brushing your teeth.
And over time, your chores stop feeling like a break from English. They start to feel like a part of your English journey. You're no longer thinking, ooh, I have to clean. Instead, it's ooh, I get to practice while I clean.
Also, don't underestimate the power of repetition. If you listen to the same English podcast every time you clean the bathroom, you're not only learning from the content, you're creating a habit. And your brain starts to associate that task with learning.
It's like turning your house into a language learning environment. You can even label items in your kitchen or bathroom with sticky notes in English. So every time you reach for something, you're reminded of the word.
Yes. That way, the home becomes your classroom, without ever sitting down to study. You're just living your life, but in English.
And the beauty is, this approach works even when you're tired. Because chores are simple. You don't need much energy for them. And when you pair that simplicity with English practice, you're learning in the most gentle, non-overwhelming way.
Sometimes we think progress has to be hard, but this is proof it doesn't. Progress can happen in the background. It can happen while you're scrubbing a pan or vacuuming the floor. What matters is that you keep showing up for your language, even in small ways.
And those small ways. Over time, they become powerful. They become you.
Let's get a bit more creative now. Have you ever tried creating your own English chore playlist? Imagine a set of songs or motivational English tracks that you only listen to when you're doing housework. That way, you start to associate those sounds with productivity and language learning.
Oh, that's clever. Like, you're actually training your brain to look forward to practicing English, because it's tied to something rhythmic and energizing, your favorite music. It adds a mood boost while also keeping you consistent.
Exactly. And if music isn't your thing, how about short stories or dramas? Something with a bit of suspense that keeps you hooked. If you only allow yourself to listen during chores, suddenly you want to clean because you're dying to know what happens next.
Yes. Turn it into a reward system. Some learners even write little to-do lists like vacuum bedroom equals 1 podcast episode, or wash dishes equals 15 minutes of English YouTube. You make progress on 2 things at once, and it actually feels kind of fun.
Let's not forget about shadowing, too. That's where you listen to a sentence in English and try to repeat it at the same time. It's a brilliant speaking exercise. And you can do it while ironing your clothes, or wiping down the table.
Shadowing builds your muscle memory for English pronunciation. You don't need to memorize rules, you just get used to how the language feels in your mouth. And the more you do it casually, the more confident you become when speaking.
You're right. And doing it while you clean removes the pressure. You're focused on movement, not performance. And that makes your speech sound more natural.
If you live with family or roommates, it might be fun to invite them into the process too. Maybe you all practice a few phrases together while cleaning. Or even turn it into a game. Who can name the most household items in English in 1 minute?
That's a great idea. Language doesn't always have to be solitary. It can be part of your environment, part of your relationships, part of how you connect.
And that's what we really want you to take away from this. Chores aren't the enemy of English learning, they are actually a hidden ally. You don't need more time. You just need to notice the time you already have, and gently fill it with language.
Every sponge, every sweep, every scrub, those are opportunities. Not just to clean your space, but to build your fluency. And the best part is, no extra effort is needed. Just a tiny mindset shift.
Your daily life is already full of rhythms and routines. Why not let English ride along with them? Before long, it stops feeling like study and starts feeling like you're just living, with English by your side.
And I think that's the most beautiful part, when English stops being this separate thing you have to make time for, and instead becomes part of the rhythm of your life. You're not stepping away from your responsibilities to learn, you're learning with them, through them.
Exactly. And let's be honest, we all have days where we feel too tired to sit down and study for an hour. But we still brush our teeth, do the laundry, cook dinner. So if English can come along for those moments, you're still moving forward, even on the days that feel like a pause.
Yeah, like on a busy day, maybe you're not going to study grammar, but you are going to wash dishes. That can be your listening time. Or your vocabulary repetition time. Or even just a moment to say a few English sentences out loud, just to keep the engine warm.
And that's all progress. It's gentle, it's flexible, but it's real. You don't need to pressure yourself into perfection. You just need to stay in motion, even slowly. Even softly. English isn't about speed, it's about presence.
One thing I like to remind learners is, English isn't something that only happens when you open a book or take a class. It's happening right now, all the time, in your environment, in your thinking, in your small, private moments.
Like when you label your leftovers in English, or read a shampoo bottle and notice the vocabulary, or say, I'm sweeping the floor out loud while actually doing it. That's learning, too. That's practice.
It really is. And the beauty of learning during chores is that it teaches your brain to think in English while doing something else. That's the real goal, right? To use the language while you live your life, not just when you sit down to study.
Yes. It builds that kind of automatic connection between real life and real language. That way, when you need to speak English in a real conversation, your brain doesn't freeze, it's already used to switching on.
So whether you're folding socks, scrubbing the bathroom, or chopping vegetables, those are English moments. Invisible victories. Quiet progress. They count. They matter.
And they add up. Maybe you don't notice it after 1 or 2 days, but after a month. After a few months. That's when the magic shows up. That's when you realize. Oh wow. I know more than I thought. I understand more than I expected. And I didn't have to force it.
You didn't burn out. You didn't quit your job. You didn't sacrifice your sleep. You just let English walk beside you, through the real, messy, ordinary life you already live.
And if that's not powerful, I don't know what is.
And actually, when English becomes a quiet companion during chores, it takes away some of the guilt that learners often feel, like, I didn't study today. But you did. You were listening while folding towels, or repeating sentences while vacuuming. That is study. Just a different kind.
That's such a good point. We often hold this narrow idea of what studying looks like: pen, notebook, textbook. But language doesn't need a desk to grow. It just needs attention, curiosity, repetition. Even if you're just talking to yourself while cleaning out the fridge.
Exactly. Like imagine you're wiping down the table, and you just start saying words: table, wipe, clean. I'm cleaning the table. That may sound simple, but it teaches your brain to describe real life. That's practical English, not just textbook English.
And it also builds confidence. When you're using English in a low-pressure, private environment like your home, you don't feel judged. There's no audience. No performance. It's just you, building trust with your voice in a second language.
That's one of the most underrated skills, self-talk. When learners can narrate their actions in English, even just a few words, they are training fluency without even realizing it. It's such a powerful form of repetition, and it fits so well into chores.
Right. And sometimes that's the only time you have. You're not free in the evenings. You're exhausted after work. But you are washing dishes. You are organizing shelves. Why not let English quietly come with you during those small routines?
It's like giving the language a space to live in your daily rhythm. Not forcing it, not squeezing it in with stress, but just inviting it into moments that are already happening. That's how English becomes natural.
And when you do this regularly, it shifts your identity. You stop thinking, I'm not doing enough. Instead, you begin to see yourself as someone who lives with the language. Someone who learns even while doing other things.
That's so empowering. Because it reminds people that they don't have to wait for the perfect moment to learn. The perfect moment may never come. But life keeps moving, and English can move with it.
So next time you're cleaning the bathroom, folding laundry, or putting away groceries, try this. Just describe what you're doing in English. Simple verbs. Basic sentences. No pressure.
And if you want to go further, turn on an English podcast, repeat what you hear, or even sing along with a simple song. It's not just chores, it's your classroom, hidden in plain sight.
And honestly, this kind of practice builds more than just language, it builds consistency. You may not notice it at first, but over time, those 5 minutes here, 10 minutes there, they stack up. They become part of your rhythm, part of your thinking.
Exactly. And when you do that daily, even a little, you begin to rewire how you process English. It stops being something separate from your day, and starts becoming part of your inner voice. It's not about intensity. It's about repetition with gentleness.
Yes, and that's what most learners overlook. They think if they are not doing an hour a day with a textbook, they are failing. But no, you're succeeding in a different way. You're embedding the language into your real life. That's more lasting.
I remember a student who told me she learned more English from doing laundry than from a grammar book. I laughed, but I totally got it. She would talk to herself in English, naming each step. I pick up the shirt. I fold it. I put it in the drawer.
That's brilliant. That's what real fluency is, being able to think in English during real moments. Not memorizing random sentences, but learning the language of your life. The things you do every day.
And over time, that kind of language becomes effortless. You don't even realize you're thinking in English anymore. It's just there, part of how you move through your day. You didn't cram it. You lived it.
Right? So if you're listening now and feeling like you never have time to study, this is your reminder. You don't have to create time. You just need to notice the time you already have. It's hidden in plain sight, waiting to be used with care.
Use those in-between moments. When you're scrubbing, sweeping, sorting, let English come in, quietly. It doesn't have to be perfect. It just has to be consistent.
And little by little, those quiet learning moments will grow into a louder confidence, maybe not in volume, but in presence. In steadiness. In how sure you feel using English in your own voice.
Because fluency isn't always fast. Sometimes, it's slow and steady. Sometimes, it sounds like dishes clinking and soft English phrases whispered while you work. But it's real. And it counts.
So if today all you did was repeat a few English words while doing the laundry, that's still progress. It's gentle, it's quiet, but it matters. You're showing up for yourself in the middle of your real life, and that's incredibly powerful.
Exactly. English doesn't need to be separate from your world. It can walk beside you, while you cook, while you clean, while you live. And the more it becomes part of your daily rhythm, the more natural it feels.
So wherever you are, folding towels, washing dishes, tidying up, we're proud of you. Keep going. You're learning, even in the quiet.
Thanks for listening to the British Accent Podcast. We'll see you next time, with another honest, encouraging conversation to keep your English journey going.
Take care, and keep practicing, one small moment at a time.